Hey guys, Argent here with some post-debate commentary. I know the debate isn't actually over yet, but I was interrupted before I could finish watching it, and I have enough to give an opinion on it. So, first off, what's the big story of the night? Donald Trump. The Donald just hit it out of the park. He hit out of the park a bunch of times. Every time he was asked a question, he punched him in the face. I gotta say it, the man is alpha. The Donald is an absolute savage. First question of the debate, Megyn Kelly brings up some dildo. Oh, you're mean to women. Insulted some women's personal appearance, and then the Donald goes, well, I only ever insulted Rosie O'Donnell that way. She's like, no, you've insulted all kinds of women. You're part of the war on women. So the Donald, rather than apologize like a fucking cuck, rather than make excuses for himself, he just goes, oh, you know what? I'm sick of political correctness, and this country's sick of political correctness. We have real fucking issues in this country. We have a trade deficit. We have unemployment. We have ISIS cutting people's heads off. And I'm not going to stand here and I'm not going to apologize for making some jokes. And he said, I just make jokes. It's what I do. I'm a rough around the edges guy. I like to make jokes. I like to be a bit irreverent. So what? Screw you. And if you don't like it, you can take a hike. And then he accused her of asking a hostile question, which she did. So he just knocked it out of the park on that one. Most politicians would have apologized, would have whined, would have begged. But he's not. The Trump is an alpha man. You can't stump the Trump. And that's why people like this guy. And that's why this guy's going to go far. And that's why he's leading the polls. Because people are tired of bland, ballless politicians. The Donald may be a bit of a tool. I'm going to be honest. He may be a goofball. He may be a loose cannon. But he feels like a real fucking human being. He feels like a real person. And ironically, he's rich. But he's unapologetic about being rich. He's unapologetic about being the elite. There's kind of an aristocratic element to him. He's not running because he needs money. He's not running because he needs power. He's got money, he's got power, he's got fame. He's running because he wants to make America great again. And there's kind of something aristocratic about that. There's something kind of classical public service about like the rich man who goes into politics to serve his country. He doesn't do it for money. He doesn't need the money. He has a disdain for money. If you look at his Facebook, he keeps insulting people whenever they go and beg for money from these corrupt corporate guys like the Koch brothers and other guys who sell America out to illegal immigrants. So then the second question he was asked, he hit out of the park again, and he said, I'm the one who brought up illegal immigration. Me. None of these other losers were talking about illegal immigration. I'm the one who brought it up. I want to build a wall. There's drugs and criminals and stuff pouring across the wall, pouring across the border, and I want to fix this. I'm going to be the cop who puts a stop to this in Bill O'Reilly's terms. And he just hammered it. And he just called everyone else on their bullshit. He called everyone else out on not doing their jobs, of betraying the American people, of not giving a shit about this issue. And he said, I'm the only one who cares about this. And then he went on and he insulted the American government and called them inept and stupid, and that was funny and true. And he went out and he just tore the other guys apart. So he just did great. But I think actually his best part was when they said, well, you've donated money to Hillary Clinton, you've donated money to all these Democrats, you've supported Democrats in the past, how do you answer for that? And the Donald literally said, yeah, I paid them off. Our system's corrupt. Our system sucks. I'll do something about it when I become president, but I didn't pay them off as a politician. I paid them off as a businessman. I donate money to everybody. I donated money to most of the people up on this stage. That's how the system works. You donate money to these people, and when you need a favor, you give them a call, and it pays off in spades. And he was just honest. He didn't make excuses. He didn't cry. He didn't whine. He's like, yeah, I bribed them. That's how the system works. It sucks. We should probably fix it. But I'm a businessman. I have to do business. I'm not going to refuse to do something that could put my business in jeopardy. If I hadn't have donated to the Democrats, then I might not be where I am today with regards to my business. everything I did was legal. It's just a badly done legal system. And I like the honesty. I like that he didn't lie. He didn't obfuscate. He didn't make up excuses or whatever. He admitted it. And he admitted it, and now they can't use it against him. Because they can't use things against you that you fess up to, that you own up to. And he did it in such a way that he looks like a man taking responsibility for his actions. People like that. People are tired, like I said, of these bland, ballless leaders. These people with no personality, with no integrity, nothing. And the Donald has a lot of problems with him, but he's not a pussy. He's not a pussy, and he's not afraid to state his mind. He's not afraid to admit when he's made a mistake. So he did a great job. So overall, I think the Donald just looked really good in this debate. His personality just is a dominant force, and you could feel the dominant force of his personality just lash out over everybody in waves. He was funny, he was charming, he was witty. He looked presidential. He looked like kind of a goofball as president, but I think anyone who thinks the Donald is stupid, and I call him a tool because I think he's a bit of a goofball. I don't think he's a dumb man. I just think he's arrogant. He doesn't really think before he talks all the time. But I think tonight he really showed that he can think and he can be effective in the way he thinks. And I think this debate is going to really help him out. Now, other candidates. Jeb was a disaster. He was weak. He was indecisive. He was whiny. He was bland and ballless. He said, "Oh, we need amnesty. We need a pathway to citizenship. We need all this stuff because they broke in out of love. Because they love America. That's why they break in and rape and murder and steal." So he did that. He's like, "I want Common Core. I want all this other stuff." And he just obviously is completely out of touch with the Republican base. But more than that, he comes across as weak, ineffective, and a loser. He looks like a loser. He sounds like a loser. His policies are loser. I would rather lose than Trump than win with Jeb. At least Trump is changing the narrative. At least he's bringing up issues. He's the reason part that Cuckservative came around. Trump has a lot of problems, but a lack of vision isn't one of them. The man has vision. The man has smarts. The man, he gets it. He gets the American people better than most of the other candidates do. So Jeb Bush is a disaster. Not much to say about him. Now, Ted Cruz impressed me. Ted Cruz is substantially more conservative than I thought he was. I thought he had caved on amnesty, but he said, "I've never supported amnesty, and I never will support amnesty, and I stopped amnesty." And the other Republicans attacked him for being an extremist and for going against the establishment, which wins him big points in my opinion. And I thought he's very charismatic. He's a good speaker. He's a smart guy. He gave good answers to questions. And he came across as a strong ideological conservative. Now, obviously, none of these people are as extreme as I am, but I think you couldn't do bad. I think you could do a lot worse than Ted Cruz. If I was an American and Ted was the candidate, I would campaign for him. It wouldn't be a hold my nose to vote thing. It would be it could be better, but it could be a hell of a lot worse. Ted Cruz, I think, is a good guy. If Trump doesn't get the nomination, which he may not, because he might just be too outside the box, I think you can feel good voting for Ted Cruz. Yeah. Rand Paul is just kind of a non-entity. He's kind of bland. He's against the Patriot Act, which is good, I guess. But other than that, he supports illegal immigration as far as I can determine. He's just not very interesting. He's kind of like just he's the VCR of the Blu-ray of his father. He's just kind of a pale shadow of his father without any of the things that really made Ron Paul interesting. They didn't really give him much time, but he had his moment. Like libertarianism kind of had its moment and its moments passed, and now we want populism. Now we want strong, decisive leadership. We don't want I want the Constitution back anymore. We want someone like Trump. We want a strong populist Mussolini-like figure, if you will. I wish we had Il Duce back. Actually, I wish we had Franco back, but that's neither here nor there. Dr. Ben Carson seemed like he was drunk or extremely tired. He was incoherent. He didn't really seem to know what he was talking about. He was very uptight. His responses felt very rehearsed. They didn't feel natural. He wasn't charismatic. He wasn't interesting. He was a disaster. I don't know why he's even there. He's there because they wanted a black guy. I'm against Dr. Ben Carson. I've been against him the whole time. I think it's kind of like a minstrelly, to be honest. I think they wanted a minority candidate. He was like the most conservative, high-profile guy they could find who was black. So they put him on the presidential list. I think he's a good man. I think he's a good surgeon. I think he's a good commentator. I don't think he should be anywhere near power. So Dr. Ben Carson, nothing personal. I think you're a good man. I think you should keep doing your surgeon thing and saving more people's lives with your medical genius. But stay the hell away from politics. Or at least, like, if you want to do social commentary, that's fine. You're obviously a smart guy, but you're not presidential material. So we have those guys. We have Chris Christie, who's just a big disappointment. We have that other guy whose name I don't even know, who was the governor of Pennsylvania or whatever, and he was just some loser. Him and Chris Christie are indistinguishable. I couldn't even tell them apart when they were talking. They're both bland and ballless liberal Republicans. They're just lame. Their time has come and gone. They're just so hopelessly out of date. Guys like Ted Cruz and especially Donald Trump are what the base wants, what the base craves. It's giving the people what they want, and I think they admitted that they're giving the people what they want, and that's why the Donald is doing so well. But they seem to think that's a bad thing. They want to turn back the clock, etc. The time for moderates is over. The time for bland, ballless leaders, as millennial woes would put it, is over. It's time for radicalism. It's time for populism. It's time for decisive leadership. And I think that's the Donald. And if it's not the Donald, I think Ted Cruz would be fine. We aren't going to get the kind of candidate that I'm sure most people who watch my channel would like. But the Donald is no pushover. He likes the country. He has the two qualifications I think are biggest in a leader. A, he likes the country he wants to be leader of. And B, he's not a pussy. And Ted Cruz is the same. Jeb Bush is a pussy. So is most of the candidates. They're just... I don't know. I think Millennial Woe summed it up best with bland and ballless. So, personally, I say the Donald is good, and if the Donald doesn't win, or the Donald gets out of the race, then go for Ted Cruz. And I would campaign for either of them, and I would vote for either of them. That's my commentary. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Argent Templar signing out.